Have you ever wondered if what you're eating could actually be helping or hurting the way that you age? Many research studies have shown that the foods that we eat can have a direct impact on the aging process, either speeding it up or slowing it down. And this can influence everything from our skin health, our wrinkles to muscle strength to our brain function. Is one of these silent killers because it actually raises our blood pressure. And over time, it can cause tremendous amounts of vascular damage, setting us up for stroke. When they studied large populations, they found that those people who consumed the highest level of foods containing these antioxidant polyphenols actually showed the fewest visible signs of aging. And when they compared the eaters all right to people who didn't eat, they found that people who didn't eat had more wrinkles and more skin sagging. All right, the first thing I'm going to tell you for more natural, healthier aging, and to slow the aging process is to eat music. Applause. Have you ever wondered if what you're eating could actually be helping or hurting the way that you age? As a physician, I've seen firsthand how food can be a powerful tool in slowing down the aging process. And it's not just about feeling good today. It's about making the right choices to preserve your health and vitality for the years ahead to come. And if you're interested in longevity, like so many people are today, then you'll want to watch this video to the end because I'm going to actually show you exactly what foods you should be eating, and which ones you should avoid in order to protect your body from the inside out. And here's the thing. Many research studies have shown that the foods that we eat can have a direct impact on the aging process, either speeding it up, which is not what you want, or slowing it down, which is actually beneficial. And this can influence everything from our skin health, how we look, our wrinkles, any sagging to muscle strength, how strong we are, to our brain function. Hey, where did I leave the keys? Or I know exactly where I left the keys. You know what I'm saying? So here's a couple of examples. A diet that's high in polyphenols, all right. Polyphenols like quercetin, which is found in apples and onions and capers, or proanthocyanins, which is found in dark chocolate, or anthocyanins, which are found in blueberries. These can help slow down cellular aging. Okay, they're antioxidant, they protect our DNA, and they have anti-inflammatory properties. And inflammation is one of the hallmarks of fast aging. Another example of foods that can be helpful to slow down aging are healthy fats. Which ones? Well, like omega-3s, in seafood, or you can get it in a dietary supplement. And in monounsaturated fatty acids that you would actually find in extra virgin olive oil, EVO, also supports this process of better, slower aging. Okay, and in part it's thanks to your ability to lower inflammation in your body and promote cellular health. So that's the good news. Now I got to also tell you the flip side. On the flip side, ultra-processed foods, the snacks you get in the middle aisle of the grocery store, or at new airport newsstands or at a gas station, these kind of ultra-processed foods often contain factory-added ingredients. They're called additives. And some of the additives that are the bad guys that for in terms of healthy aging are artificial coloring, artificial flavoring, artificial preservatives, artificial sweeteners, pretty much anything that's artificial. Thickeners, and of course added sugar, which is really a burden to our metabolism. And here's another one that you might not have thought about. Not in sweets but in savory or salty snacks. High levels of sodium. Sodium is one of these silent killers because it actually raises our blood pressure, and over time it can cause tremendous amounts of vascular damage, setting us up for stroke and cardiovascular disease and many other problems, including kidney problems. All right. So additives can accelerate the aging process, whereas more natural whole foods actually can slow down the aging process. Okay, so what are some of the ways that we would be able to tell that our food is helping or hurting? Well, I think you know the signs. For example, wrinkles, memory problems, cognitive decline, weaker muscles, trying to open that pickle jar or open that car door. If it's harder, well, you're not probably weakening your muscles. All right. And loss of balance. This is actually something that's pretty important, right? When you were a kid, you could easily stand like a stock on one leg, maybe even on a fence or on a log. Try doing it when you're 40 or 50 or 60, and you'll see that the sense of balance is changed. And it's because of your brain, partly due to your muscles, partly due to your nerves. These are all signs of aging. Now the last thing that you want to do is to risk aging more quickly, faster aging. All right, and by the way, the same processes like inflammation that speed up your aging also set you up at risk for chronic diseases. Which ones? Diabetes, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, cancer, and dementia. Obviously, if you want longevity, you've got to dodge those diseases that will take you out too early or make your quality of life miserable no matter how many years you actually have. So you don't want to actually speed up aging. You don't want chronic diseases. In that case, what are some of the foods that are better and supportive of healthy aging? Are you ready? Let's talk about them. All right. The first thing I'm going to tell you for more natural, healthier aging and to slow the aging process is to eat more colorful fruits and vegetables. All right. What do I mean by colorful fruits and vegetables? Well, berries, very colorful, bell peppers, fruits, apples and oranges and lemons and limes and grapes. All right, you can tell all these, colorful, foods, stone fruits, peaches and pears and plums. I mean, think about it. You go to the farmer's market and you see big piles of these, fruits and vegetables. It's like looking at a rainbow, like a kaleidoscope of color. Okay, now here's the thing. The natural substances that give fruits and vegetables their beautiful colors, their diverse colors, are actually polyphenols. colors are actually polyphenols. Polyphenols that protect your body against the stress of aging, protect it against free radical damage, which damages your DNA. These are stresses, kind of a chemical stress, and protect you from inflammation as well. Alright, this idea of stress, free radical damage, and inflammation, these are just some three of the key drivers of premature aging. So when you want to eat the rainbow, you're actually opposing or countering some of these key parts of aging. You're countering stress. Countering damage to your DNA from free radicals, and you're countering inflammation. This is really, really important. Now, researchers from China have published in Frontiers of Nutrition, which is one of the big journals, that berries, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries are especially good at reducing that kind of oxidative stress that stresses out your cells, speeds up aging, so it reduces that process. And that berries lower inflammation. Okay. And in fact, when they studied large populations, they found that those people who consumed the highest level of foods containing these antioxidant polyphenols actually showed the fewest visible signs of aging. Their skin looked better, looked less aged, less wrinkled, or less sagging. And when they compared the berry eaters alright to people who didn't eat berries, they found that the people who didn't eat berries had more wrinkles and more skin sagging. Really important, alright. So this is actually visible, you can actually see it. The take-home point here is that polyphenol-rich foods and fiber-rich foods too, these fruits, these berries contain dietary fiber. In fact, pound for pound, raspberries are one of the most fiber-rich foods that are out there, alright. But polyphenols and dietary fiber, raspberries, strawberries, blueberries, dark chocolates, another one with polyphenols and some dietary fiber in nuts, tree nuts, almonds, cashews, macadamia, walnuts. Alright, these foods actually protect your DNA. They protect against cellular stress and they lower inflammation. And as a result, this is what the researchers have been finding. They actually help to protect your skin against the ravages of aging, improve elasticity. That's the stretchiness of your skin. They support healthy cell turnover. What's health turnover? Well, it's your new skin replacing your old skin, right? We all know that old skin doesn't look that great. New skin rejuvenates it, right? You ever have a facial or a skin scrub? You see all that stuff that comes off of it. Alright, that's exposing the new skin and getting slewing off the old skin. So your skin looks fresher, less wrinkled, less saggy, okay. More has more resiliency. So how do you do this? Well, I recommend just adding just a handful of fresh berries to your breakfast every day. Or if you're having oatmeal or yogurt, what great foods to ask dairy to because they're also healthy. The oatmeal contains beta-glucan, which is and lots of fiber for your gut health. Yogurt is a probiotic food. I always get whole yogurt, add some berries to them. That's a way of lighting up your polyphenol load starting right off at the beginning of the day. The other thing you could do is nibble on a small square of dark chocolate. Alright, now how dark? Most of the studies show the darker the better. Alright, so I say 80–85% or better, that's pretty dark, and that kind of dark chocolate's kind of bitter, so here's my practical tip for you. Take a square of really dark chocolate. And if it's too bitter for you, combine it with a cup of black coffee. Alright, coffee plus chocolate equals mocha. So if you actually have coffee, which is also slowing down the ravages of aging in dark chocolate, you could put the chocolate right in there, or you could get cocoa powder, dark chocolate powder, stir it up in there. And now you make your own mocha or just eat it together. Sip some coffee, nibble on a chocolate, it's the same effect. It's just naturally in your tongue as opposed to in the cup. Now here's the other thing, another practical tip. I recommend keeping a small bowl of mixed nuts. Alright. Again, walnuts, pistachios, pecans, cashews. I just made some toasted cashews and I put on some rosemary powder a little bit to light up the spice. And rosemary has rosemic acid, which is also anti-inflammatory and slows down cellular aging. Alright. And so when you eat some of those nuts, you actually get some healthy fats. You get lots of dietary fiber, feeds your gut microbiome, and inflammation comes down. With lower inflammation, you actually have your countering those effects of aging. Okay, that's my first tip. Second tip, to slow down the effects of cellular aging, I recommend you incorporate healthy fats into your diet. And guess where some of the biggest benefits are? That's right, in your brain. You want healthier brain aging, you want to have healthier fats. So you might say, Dr. Lee, aren't all fats bad? Not really. Actually, our body needs fat, some fat to actually survive. Healthy fats, everything in moderation. But healthy fats like omega-3 fatty acids, which you can get from seafood, not just salmon, mackerel, and sardines and anchovies, they actually have a lot of good omega-3s. But you can even get it from lighter white flesh fish that don't look like they're oily, but they actually have omega-3s. Cod, halibut, flounder, and even seafood like clams and mussels and squid, shrimp, lobsters, crab. They also have omega-3s as well. Okay, they live in a sea. At the end of the day, they're nibbling on things that actually have the plankton that actually contain the omega-3s, so they get some of the benefits as well. So you eat that, you get the benefits. Point is, healthy fats lead to healthy brain. As we age, we want our brain or noggin to be really, really sharp. You don't like seafood, or you can't get seafood, or you're allergic to seafood. Omega-3 dietary supplements worth it, okay. One of the few supplements that I think we probably don't get enough of that the actual real deal from our whole foods. So I'm cool with actually supplementing or topping off with omega-3s. Now how do we know this is important? Well, at least when it comes to omega-3s, healthy omega-3s, researchers at Tsinghua University in China actually did a study, and they published this in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, and they found that the omega-3s are too fine in foods. Like I said, salmon, flaxseed, walnuts, they can lower inflammation in the body. And by lowering inflammation, they counter the ravages of aging. But they found that countering is actually in cognitive function. That's brain function, executive functions. So here's what they did. These researchers looked at more than 100,000 people. And they found that those who ate more omega-3s, regardless of the source, were less likely to experience memory loss, or cognitive decline as they get older. Very, very important. In fact, just upping the amount of omega-3s daily, alright, just increasing omega-3s every day. How do you do that? Take a supplement every single day led to 10% lower risk of developing cognitive issues. Right, so. This adds to the growing evidence that our brain function is something we can nurture even as we age to counter the ravages of being elderly. So most of us look at really old people and we go, wow, I never want to be like that. Well, there are lots of older people who have really sharp brain function and those are people you want to be like. Alright. And omega-3s are actually one of those things that can help to fight dementia and cognitive decline. Alright. Now I'm a scientist as well as a doctor. So I'm going to tell you the questions I ask is, well, how do omega-3s work? Well, it turns out omega-3s lower brain inflammation. Remember, inflammation is one of those hallmarks of aging. As you age, you become more inflamed, so omega-3s counter that, and that seems to be key to keeping our brains actually sharp. Okay, let me give you some practical tips about omega-3s. Alright, as I said, you can eat seafood. All the lists I gave you, the salmon, the mackerel, or the cod, or the hake, or shrimp and clams and mussels and squid. Alright. And by the way, not only is it beneficial for your brain, it's also beneficial for your heart. Omega-3s are well known to be beneficial to cardiovascular disease. They actually help the lining of your blood vessels, your endothelial cell lining. I study blood vessels, so I know a lot about this. 60,000 miles worth of blood vessels in your body. Omega-3 has helped to pave the road, the highways along those 60,000 miles of the journey. Every bit of oxygen that we breathe and every nutrient that we eat has to fly down these highways and byways in your body. Omega-3s make that process really, really good. Okay, what's another healthy fat? Well, I alluded to this earlier. Extra virgin olive oil. Now there are some omega-3s. There are some monounsaturated fatty acids and omega-3s, all good for vascular health. All good for brain health. But extra virgin olive oil has polyphenols like hydroxyol and uleontol. Now these are super potent anti-inflammatory polyphenols that can lower inflammation everywhere in your body, including your brain. Alright, how much omega-3s do you need to eat? Well, in fish about this amount, in the of fish, a piece of fish about the size of a deck of cards. Alright, what about extra virgin olive oil? Well, anywhere between 3 to 4 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil has been associated with better health, better aging, overall better organ health, right? You might say 3 to 4 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Man, that seems like a lot. Well, if you go to the Mediterranean, and I did a gap year before I went to medical school, and I lived in the Mediterranean in Italy and Greece, you can find foods that are actually cooked with extra virgin olive oil. And when you're cooking the process, check out some recipes. You'll see quite a bit of extra virgin olive oils used. And when you eat it over the course of breakfast, lunch, dinner, okay, it's pretty easy to get 3 to 4 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Now I always tell people if you're going to get olive oil, get the ones that have the highest amount of polyphenols. And you may have heard me mention this before, but I'll say it again. There are 3 types of olive oil, okay? 3 types of olives used to make olive oil that have the highest levels of polyphenols. There is a Spanish olive called the Picul olive, very high in polyphenols. Fortunately, it's a very common olive in Spain. So the second one in Italy is Morello. Morello is from Umbria, although you can find them in other olive groves throughout Italy. Less common, a little bit more expensive. And then in Greece, Greek olive oil. You look for olive oil made with Koruni olives. These are from the Peloponnese, the southern part of Greece, between Corky olives, Morello olives, and Picou olives. These are 3 varietals of olives that are super high in these healthy and inflammation-lowering polyphenols that are good for a brain health as we age to counter that inflammation. So how do you find these when you go to a grocery store? Well, listen, I used to be confused by this. You go to this huge wall of different types of extra virgin olives. Here's what I do. I look for Greek, I look for Italian, I look for Spanish olive oil. Fortunately, there's quite a lot of choices to choose from. Then I look for monovarietal. Monovarietal means that inside that bottle is extra virgin olive oil that comes from one and only one variety of olive. Picul from Spain, Keki from Greece. These are actually very easy olive oils to find. Maro from Italy's Umbria region is a bit more premium. But if you ever struggle to locate true monovarietal olive oils made from Picul, Caroniki, or Morello olives in your local grocery store, you can simply order them online by searching the olive name plus monovarietal olive oil, and have it delivered to your door. Real extra virgin olive oil is like liquid gold. It tastes incredible and is rich in polyphenols, which you can feel as a slight peppery zing at the back of your throat, especially when enjoyed with sourdough bread or drizzled over food. And when I cook eggs, another powerful brain-healthy food, I skip butter and seed oils entirely and use extra virgin olive oil instead, so those protective polyphenols go straight into the meal. And finally, one of the most important anti-aging tips is not just what to add, but what to avoid, cutting down or completely eliminating added sugars and refined carbohydrates like soda and ultra-processed white flour, which spike inflammation and accelerate aging. Because when you combine the right fats with smarter food choices, you're not just eating better, you're actively slowing aging and protecting your brain.